My name is Sabina Sanova. I work at Polis. We're a network of cities and regions striving towards innovation and transfer, which includes many different aspects. Also, social inclusion. In the next few minutes, let's have a closer look at the importance of being socially inclusive in transport. When talking about mobility, a holistic approach where all citizens are equally and equitably included is crucial. This is becoming even more important when working toward boosting multimodality and digital solutions, reducing car ownership and ensuring a smooth journey from A to B. In order to be inclusive, we need to understand and give definition to the most vulnerable citizens. The recently concluded European-funded project Inclusion has identified 12 user groups that risk being excluded or discriminated in the use of transport. This list includes disabled and impaired groups, as well as people in remote areas, people with low income, migrants, women, children, students, elderly people, and job seekers among them. After the groups have been identified, the next step is to understand and carefully analyze needs and patterns. The Inclusion Project has done so based on over 50 case studies, investigating good practices on social inclusion in transport. This has resulted in 8 principles that can and will help to design a fair transport system. Let's have a look at each of them. Empowering. Empowering through mobility solutions that build vulnerable users' capacities to get around confidently in their everyday lives. This can be achieved through training courses or schemes like travel bans. This way, the social groups are enabled to use the transport modes without requiring any assistance of the others. Advanced technologies can provide an additional degree of freedom. However, please note that in the design of those technologies, vulnerable groups must be considered. For more information, follow the link to the Indimo project that will be provided in this module. Principle number 2, empathy building. Empathy building initiatives fostering awareness and increasing capacities among the transport and service providers, as well as among the general public, might increase their readiness to help and assist vulnerable groups. Number 3, accessibility. The transport network, charging stations or points, vehicles, as well as access to information related to mobility should be barrier-free physically, sensorially, and linguistically. This includes, for example, the use of ticket machines, smartphone apps, or charging points. Number 4, affordability. Affordability is key for all users and for vulnerable users in particular. An inclusive society will have to cover related costs and subsidies and avoid imposing a major cost factor on any particular user. Considering that the cost of the e-mobility solutions are still very high, the affordability aspect should be embedded in the further development of electric mobility. Gender equity. Gender equitable mobility services enable all users, regardless of gender identity and or orientation, to have access to transport services that meet their daily needs. This doesn't mean providing equal service for all. This rather involves provision of the services that are equivalent but different, recognizing that not all groups have the same mobility needs. Inclusion Project suggests that improving and facilitating intermodality, accessibility, and safety can help gender equity. Number 6, safety. Making mobility more inclusive means that the mobility services should be and feel safe for vulnerable groups. Immediate intervention include physical measures such as lighting, spatial layout, spacious and vehicle design, signage, removing of electricity cables and charging points, emergency buttons, as well as soft measures such as communication, surveillance, staff training, and public awareness campaign. And last but not least, let's take 7 and 8, these 2 principles together: convenience and efficiency. Minimizing the time and efforts required for vulnerable users to reach the modes of transport can translate into greater use and benefits for the groups. Distance to the nearest service, reliability, adequate information provision about the services such as timetables and route planning, as well as intermodal connectivity and network coverage can contribute to its convenience and efficiency. To be able to apply these principles, it is always important to remember the groups, their needs, and involve them in the design process. It is equally significant to give these groups a voice and build direct two-way communication with them. For more detailed description of the principles and the correct application, have a look at the additional sources that are being provided in this module. In the next modules, we will directly or indirectly touch upon the topics of social inclusion in the electromobility context. However, it is important to remember that social inclusion goes beyond any modes or technologies and is a building block of each healthy and truly accessible transport system.